Um, we are here in my office, um, also known as my evil lair. I like to refer to it as that just to be silly. um, so yeah. Today I want to cover a rarely asked question, or it's a question that I don't notice a lot of people asking as far as goth goes. I've only seen one person ask this and like some other article on another website, which is like, what is it like being a disabled goth? And, you know, I feel that very few people ask about that. Like, what's it like, or how do you manage to be one? You know, to be disabled and goth. And so, similar questions like that, I don't see too many people asking things like that. So I do have today, like on the note card, things I'd like to talk about just to help me keep myself on track. um, so yeah. What is it like being goth and disabled? That is like one of the main things I'm going to cover. So I feel, I cannot answer this question for everyone who is disabled and goth or gothically inclined. But, I think the way I can answer it is, some of these things happen to some people. Other people have different experiences. Just as, each disability has its own unique experience for the person that has it. If that makes any sense. So, yeah. It all depends on each person. Because not everybody is the same. Not everybody has the same symptoms. Not everyone, has the same struggles. Everyone has struggles, disabled or not. And, even people who have severe disabilities, they have, struggles that are uniquely their own. I mean, you could be diagnosed with a certain type of disease, and just because sorry, got a bit worried there that my laptop was going to turn off. What was I saying? Yeah, you may have certain symptoms that someone with a similar or the same disease you have won't have. So each person, it differs, person to person, disease from disease. It all differs. I feel also that it can be harder to get help and assistance if from people, let's say, like if you fall or you need some kind of help as far as like, let's say you have a learning disability and you choose to be all decked out in goth attire. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, yeah, it's good. You express yourself the way you feel most comfortable. But some people, unfortunately, aren't willing to see past, your self expression enough to care to help you. That is a challenge that I feel that sometimes I come across, and maybe, some other people out there who are also disabled and goth or gothically inclined also experience that. If not, if there's something else, someone out there has the same feeling about it, just let me know. So yeah, like, trying to think back, I don't get out of the house that much, so like I can think back to some occasions where I've needed some extra help, like either getting from one place to another, like walking wise, or just some kind of assistance from either a nurse or someone. And you know if I wasn't fully dressed goth, they might have been nicer to me. If I, you know, I'm not saying it's bad to dress goth or be goth or whatever. Just that I kind of feel like some people's reaction to you as someone who is disabled in goth, you can feel the difference between how they would treat someone who was just simply disabled versus someone who was goth and disabled. They kind of do treat them a little differently. This is something that I've had like in the back of my mind, that you know I've sat down and thought, is it just me, or am I imagining this? Am I just creating a problem in my head? But there were occasions where I've noticed it wasn't just me imagining it in my head. That, people, just like able bodied goths and able bodied people, regular people who can walk and run and function normally, um, there's a difference. There is a difference in how they treat you. Not everybody's going to be, willing to help you, but, it doesn't mean that everybody out there is going to be rude and mean to you. It's just some people are not well educated and they don't know any better than to just judge a book by its cover. Whether the book is needing some special kind of assistance. So yeah. I haven't really talked about that with anyone, but because I always worry that maybe I'm just imagining something. And sometimes I'll notice it in the moment and put it just in the back of my mind and just either leave it there or just try not to pay too much attention to it. I mean, when people are rude to me on a daily basis, not everybody's rude to me on a daily basis, but like when people are rude to me, I either try to just ignore it just shake it off and continue, or I just don't notice it because I'm used to like being like a horse and having my blinders and just focused on whatever task I have at the moment. So sometimes it's hard for me to notice when someone's being rude to me or not. And, the times that I don't notice, sometimes it's my mom that, she notices it and she gets upset over it. Um, and that's when I begin to notice it. But, I've come a long ways and I've just trained myself to not care and just focus on whatever it is I'm trying to achieve that in that moment, in that day, and just keep going. I better hurry up and get to the other points. Um, well, as far as like dressing and trying to manage how to achieve the look or the way you would like to express yourself in the way you dress, or it's it is a bit of a challenge. I'm not gonna lie, it is a bit of a challenge, especially if, like, let's say you are severely disabled and just need some assistance, or you need complete assistance with like doing everyday tasks like, getting dressed or something, feeding yourself, and you have to heavily depend on people. It can be harder to just dress the way you want because the people that, take care of you, your caregivers or your family members, if they're the ones that, how do, you know, all that stuff for you and, help take care of you, if they don't understand why or why it is you are wanting to move in this direction as far as like fashion wise or as far as the way you want to change the way you live your life, if they don't understand anything, which a lot of the times they don't, and if they're like extremely conservative, it can be very challenging to try and convince them or try to express to them that, this is how you feel more comfortable being you and being yourself. It's a challenge. I mean, it's something that you're going to have to find a way to negotiate in some cases because whether, they eventually come to understanding that, you want to dress this way because it makes you more happy or it makes you feel more comfortable, makes you feel more like yourself. Since they are the ones, whoever it is, person in charge that is in charge of helping to take care of you, they might find it, like, first off, shocking, and second of all, worrisome because they think, like most people, if it's your family or, your caregiver, that it's a bad thing. And they might also feel that, because you're disabled, so many people, you're different already, and so many people out there are going to just reject you even more. And they could be just worried about that people are going to give you even more nastier looks than ever. And, you know, it is unavoidable. There are going to be jerks out there that tell you shit, but, you know, it's not worth it to always live in fear of what other people think. Like, you, you could dress in all black every day, or, you know, dress in strange clothing, but, you know, you're not exposing yourself to anyone, and you're not harming anyone by doing so. So, you know, it's going to take a bit of negotiation, you know, trying to negotiate with your caregiver, family member, or whatever, to let them know, you know, this is how I feel more comfortable expressing myself, and it makes me happy. And just, if you love me, you know, you'll understand. It's not a phase. It could, you, if you're just getting into all of this, you could just say, you know, like you could just explain to them that I want to try this, you know, because I think it'll make me more happy, or, you know, however you feel. Just try to be nice about it, and just keep the lines of communication open. Negotiate. Maybe they're not comfortable with seeing you in corsets, or maybe it's a health hazard for you, for whatever reason, to wear one. Maybe you could, you know, negotiate with, okay, I won't wear corsets, or if it's not an issue, I'll wear corsets during certain occasions. And just try to work it out with your caregiver. I know there's been, like I said, I've seen one person mention this, you know, Goths being disabled, or the subject in the Gothic Charm School website. One person who was disabled asking the Lady of the Manors over how to be goth and disabled, and I heard that, you know, her family was just, they just did not want to accept it. They didn't want her getting into anything like that, and they just were strictly conservative. I've heard of that, and I've experienced it quite a bit myself on my own. But I would have to say, you know, like, I've had my own arguments with my own family over, you know, what's okay to wear, what's not okay to wear when I first started, as far as like dressing the way that I actually wanted to dress. I've had some arguments. So, yeah. At first, like, my mom was pretty much just worried, and she didn't like the idea that I wanted to dress the way I wanted to dress. And I just, you know, I felt like for so long people have just tossed me around like some doll, dressing me up the way they think a girl my age should dress. And I was just fed up with it, and I was just thinking, you know what, I'm gonna make a transition into, this particular style that I'd like to try. As far as like style, I mean, I've always liked things that were gothically inclined without knowing that they were gothically inclined. But as far as the outside, I kind of just wasn't strong enough to just stand up and say, no, I don't want to dress this way. And why did I let people, dress me the way they wanted to dress me? Because I didn't know any better. And I was also a shy little girl. Shy, not sure of anything. Well, I was sure of a couple of things, like the cruelty that this world has. Because I've experienced some things earlier on. I don't think I'll discuss them on this channel. But, or maybe I will later. I'm not sure. If I'm up to it. Yeah. So, that's how I was earlier in my life, where I just let people kind of, I was just more like a follower. I wasn't sure of myself of anything except for the fact that there were extremely cruel people in this world. And I did like certain gothically inclined stuff. But anyways, back to the subject and away from the tangents. It is a challenge. It's not just whoever's letting you dress how you want. It's also, it can be a challenge depending on your disability. If it affects anything like your hands, like it can be a challenge to just put on makeup and things like that, and button up shirts and zip up zippers, putting on corsets. If you have, physical disability and you have a hard time doing certain things with your hands, and even, trying to do your own hair. I mean, when I choose to put my hair up, I have that challenge a lot because my hands get tired. So it can be challenging that way. Well, I guess I touched upon this earlier in the video. As far as like judgment, you do get judged. Like other goths that are able-bodied, you do get judged that way, even though you're disabled. So the judgment spares nobody. Of course, whether you are a goth or not, you're always judged. So that's nothing new. But as far as the freak label goes, personally, it's nothing new for me, for people to see me as a freak, or because I'm goth or whatever, or because of anything else, because I dress strangely or whatever. It's nothing new. I get labeled, I get labeled as a freak. I can't talk well right now, but I do get labeled as a freak. And this has happened even before, I started dressing the way I wanted. Um, and how? I didn't need anybody to just call me a freak. I could see it in the way people would look at me every time I would go out in public in my own wheelchair. Even if I dressed down, now, if I dress down, I still get labeled as a freak because of me being in a wheelchair or because of the way I walk. I walk kind of funny, and it's because of my disability. So that whole thing label of being called a freak is nothing new. And for me, I've kind of just gotten used to it and also kind of embraced it. There's nothing wrong with being a freak. In whatever way you want to take it, good or bad, disabled or not. I mean, I remember being little and having my feet deformed. And every time I would go out in public, people would just stare at me and just give me goddamn awful looks just because my feet were deformed. And it was just awful. It would make me feel bad and it would make my mom angry because that's not something that you can take off or change in a few minutes. That's something that can be permanent. Eventually, I did get 3 major surgeries on both of my feet to correct them so that way it would be easier for me to walk. But even though I have had those surgeries, I still walk funny. And, it's not an instant cure. I mean, what I have, Charcot-Marie tooth, it's lifelong. There is no cure for it. We'll discuss more about the Charcot-Marie tooth in the other videos, but yeah, the freak label is not anything new to me, and I don't think we should continue to use it as something negative. We should embrace it and be happy. Some people are much more comfortable with it than others. And if you're comfortable with it, that's great. If you're not, don't feel bad about it. With some positive attitude, you can turn any word into something positive, into something good. Like, I don't know. I lost what I was going to say. Just don't be so negative about the label freak or the name. And I think people out there should stop using it as something negative. It should be something positive. Embrace differences, embrace similarities, and just be embracing to one another. There's enough violence and, chaos out there. We need to be human beings to one another. Remember that we're all human beings. We're all living beings of some kind. And just be kind to one another. Whether you're physically different or not, race, gender wise, disabilities, just be kind to one another. I can't speak job wise as far as like judgment, but I can foresee that it can be quite a challenge because right now I'm on my way to finding a job. So I can see that it might be a challenge for me, but I'm willing to take it on. As far as being a disabled goth, I feel mostly that it's my issues with trying to find a job is just mostly due to health. Because there are certain things that I can't do for safety reasons. Not only to myself, but to like everyone else that I may need to work with. It's just health. Dating. Dating is a mess. And I've only had one boyfriend in my entire life, and I am 21. So I can't really speak too much there. But I feel as far as like disability wise, that disabled men have much more luck getting dates than disabled women because women most women, not every woman, but women are very understanding, and so some are willing to give chance to disabled men. But as far as like disabled women getting dates, I can't cover everybody. I can't speak for everybody, but I can say that, I think it's much more of a challenge because sometimes not all men, but most men, not every man, but most men just can't see past the whole, oh, she's disabled, oh, she needs extra help with walking or stuff like that. Some men can't look past that. And it's a challenge. It's depressing. But, not every man is going to be like that. And it is a challenge in trying to keep that mentality of thinking, someday someone's not going to see me as, problem or not dateable. But right now, me personally, I'm more focused in trying to get a job before dating. So on my priorities list, it's job first because I just graduated from college and I need to get my life going first, get things in order, get things running and stuff before I can think of going on a date with anyone. If, the chance arises, if it comes up in this whole process of me trying to find a job, I'm not gonna, well, I might turn it down depending on how I'm feeling about the person who's asking. But for the most part, I'm not too focused on dating right now. Just more focused on finding a job. And yeah. Oh, another thing's that. No, never mind. That's all I can say about the subject for the time being. If something else comes up, there will be a video. That is if something I feel has been left out as far as being a disabled goth. And if there's anyone out there who has a question, I'm willing to answer. So please subscribe if you can. I've noticed I have 9 subscribers, and even though that might be a microscopic number, I am very happy. Thank you, everyone that has subscribed to my channel. So, stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, ask questions if you'd like, and I will see you in the next video. See you.